Hello and welcome to the Movie Attic. I'm Mike, and as you can see, this is the attic where I plan on discussing and reviewing movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks for all the nice people out there in YouTube land. Um, this is my first video for those of you playing at home. I know what you're thinking. Oh yes, just what we need, another movie review channel. Well, I can't really argue with that much, but what else am I going to do with my time? So let's jump into the first movie. Today's big movie is 1954's Godzilla or Gojira on 4K for the first time. But before we jump into that release, a brief history on how I became a Godzilla fan and the releases leading up to this 4K release. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I saw a lot of these Showa era Godzilla movies as a kid on TV, also Gamera, and was a big fan ever since. Yeah, that was the big thing in the day, monster movies and dinosaurs. You know, we had the Land of the Lost and all kinds of fun stuff like that in the 70s. So my first viewing of the original uncut Godzilla from the Japanese version was this classic media release on DVD, which I picked up in the day from their website. It was touted at the time as being the first time on DVD in the US, the uncut original version of the movie. And I liked it. I liked it better than the U.S. cut of the movie with Raymond Burr. It was also the first time I'd ever watched a Godzilla movie in Japanese with English subtitles, and I liked that aspect of it as well. Classic Media then released this box set of a small smattering of the original Showa era Godzilla movies in a box set. The original movie was also included in that, so I do have 2 copies of it. Then Classic Media came out with this Blu-ray version of Gojira, which you really didn't get much with it. Just the disc, no paper, no book or no paperwork over here. So I picked that up, I believe, from Amazon at the time. Then, of course, Criterion got a hold of the movie, which if you know Criterion, they always do excellent work. Usually get a booklet that has all the technical specs and information you would like to know about the restoration in it, and also came with this very cool pop-up case with Godzilla popping up, and that was my go-to version of the movie for a long time. Just like Classic Media, though, they did release a big box set of all the Showa era Godzilla movies, which Classic Media didn't release them all, but it also included this, which it was the exact same transfer and everything, so there was nothing new there. But then we get to this big release. Don't know if you can see it very well because it's very dark and also shiny. I'm not going to dive too much into the actual movie itself. Like I said, it's from 1954, 70 years old this year. Most people know what the movie's about at this point, and if not, there's other YouTube videos I think you could probably find explaining everything about that. It's one of the only 2 Godzilla movies ever shot in black and white. And like I say, if you've seen this movie, it's in a different aspect ratio than the other Showa era Godzilla movies. Um, and if you've ever seen this movie, you know that, or the other releases of this movie, there is a lot of scratches, there's a lot of dirt and specks in this movie. Parts of this movie are very dark. There are parts of this movie that are very bright, and you know, it needed a really good restoration. But from what I gathered, it sounded like the original camera negative was long lost. So of course you can only do so much restoration wise if you don't have the camera negative. But I do think this release of it is the best this movie has ever looked on any home format. A lot of the scratches are not as noticeable. Some of the specks and the dirt are gone, at least from what I could see. The really dark areas, you could actually see some stuff in it and see better details of stuff. The brights are still pretty bright, but I don't think they're quite as over the top as the previous releases of the movie. So who's this movie for? Well, first and foremost, it's not a US release, it's a Japanese release. So it's not necessarily for the US market. It is on a region-free disc. I'm not a big technical guy, as you could probably tell. I'm not a professional reviewer, as you could probably also tell. But I don't know the bit rates and all that. But I do know that it said that it's on a BD100 disc, which is what you would want it to be on. It doesn't have any HDR or Dolby Vision, and it doesn't have any Dolby Atmos. So here's the downside of it. This release, of course, as you can see, does not come with a slipcover. It only comes with the 4K disc and some paperwork explaining what other releases you might like to purchase. It was over $40 on Amazon. It sold by Amazon Japan with free international shipping. That's how I got it. I'm in the US. And the biggest drawback for this, aside from the price, is it is in Japanese with only Japanese subtitles if you want them. You don't have to put the subtitles on. I don't speak or read Japanese, but I have seen the movie enough times to know what's going on, so it wasn't as a big deal for me as probably somebody else. I don't think the average Godzilla fan is gonna pick this up, just because I think you're probably perfectly fine with this release of the movie, just because of the price and no English subtitles. The menus are all in Japanese, so navigating the special features can be a little tricky. There is a version with Raymond Burr on this release. If you can find it, rifling through all the menus in Japanese to find it, it was extremely rough looking, so I would definitely recommend not getting it for that reason. Of course, if you're a huge Godzilla fan, this is probably something you'll be picking up, or a huge 4K collector that has to have every 4K that comes out. I don't know whether they're planning on releasing these in the US or not. I would assume they would with the success of Godzilla Minus One. But as far as this release, even with the drawbacks, I really enjoyed it. I watched it twice. Like I said, I do believe it's the best it has ever looked on the home format. Uh, I don't regret buying it. I would have bought it again, even knowing everything I know about it. Um, so there you have it. Uh, if I was to rate this release, I would give it 8.5 rolls of pink insulation out of 10. Um, so, you can decide whether this release is right for you or not. I would say it's probably not for most people just because of the price and no English subtitles. But if you do speak and read Japanese, I'm sure this is a great release. It's still a little pricey. You can get a really nice 4K set for $40+ in the US. So there's my review of Godzilla on 4K. If you happen to have seen this release or have this release, let me know down in the comments section what you thought of it. Was it worth it for you? Is it the best the movie's ever looked on the home format or any format? And that'll do it for this episode. I'd like to thank Amy, Wendy, Mary, and last but not least, Steve, for your early support of this channel. It was greatly, greatly appreciated. Until the next time I'm in the attic with a completely different movie, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Hopefully shorter than it took me to make this video. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.